Well, it's a beautiful day. There are white puffy clouds amongst a pale blue sky, and our Valandian force here, mixed force of cavalry, infantry, and crossbow, are marching through the forest, and there's eerie silence, right? Any of you guys that have fought Battania before is familiar with this scenario. We engaged this force, even though we're outnumbered here by 70 troops, and the power bar favors them. They are nowhere to be seen, right? The Viet Cong of Bannerlord are taking every advantage of their situation, of their kingdom's power, and they are hiding deep in the woods, right? This is the nightmare scenario for many players of Bannerlord. In this example, the Battanians have fully 40% of their army from the Battanian Fian champ line, right? That means they have all kinds of archers, tough infantry, and javelin cavalry. And what do? They sit at the very edge of the map and wait for us to engage. So how do you win this encounter, right? This is one of the encounters that people request all the time. We're fighting on their home turf, and we are the attacker, right? We're outnumbered by 70, and we have this cavalry-heavy army. Well, to be perfectly honest, friends, how you attack in this situation is to change something manifestly. I will just show you what happens when the sergeants take charge of this heavy cavalry-laden army. And of course, historically, if heavy cavalry fought in a dense forest, I do not think they expected a good outcome most of the time. Of course, the Battanian Fian champs have probably the best ranged unit army in the entire game with all their javelins, their wildlings. In fact, most of their infantry has throwing weapons. And here we go with our horses stumbling into every single tree. We charge the maelstrom of arrows and bolts, and the screen just froths fully red on the side, on the right side here. Of course, the Valandians score a few inevitable kills, but what is also inevitable here is defeat. Most guys chime in and say, how the fuck do I defeat a Battanian force that's hiding at the back of the map and won't attack me, and they have lots of Battanian Fian champions? Well, to be perfectly honest, I did try this a couple times with this army makeup, and as you can see here, the same thing that happened to the sergeant more or less happened to me. This is Battania's home turf. They're supposed to win here. Now, how do you beat them, right? If you insist on fighting on their home turf, if you insist on fighting them outnumbered like this, right? We're outnumbered by 70, and yet we're the attacker. If all of these variables you insist on being in play, in other words, you're not willing to let them attack you, you're going to fight them on their home turf, and you're going to fight them outnumbered, I do not recommend this Valandian army makeup against this Battanian army makeup, right? So we're going to change a variable here. We're not going to change the defender part because you guys want to see me attack, right? So we will remain the attacker, but we're not going to use this army composition, right? We're going to basically change this and say, okay, it's not going to work to have lots of cavalry. These archers are shooting us to death. Let's do lots of crossbow, right? Let's fight fire with fire. We will take on these Battanian Fian champs with our sharpshooters. Now, we're still going to require tactics to have any chance here. And even though we have 68% crossbow, they are going to have more arrows, right? Because they have 2 quivers. We only have 1. That means we need to be very effective with our sharpshooters. But this is the only way I think you can win this battle, or at least consistently win this battle in your campaign. Again, just the ground rules here. They have an equal strength army as far as unit types, but they have fully 70, almost 20% more troops than we do. So just explain this real quick. I like to have essentially 2 flanks for a situation like this, because what the enemy usually does is they will present a shield wall to one of your attacking wings. Now, when I say one of your attacking wings, that's sort of giving away my plan here. If you come directly head on, they will simply block all your crossbow bolts. We're not going to come head on. So I'm going to divide into 2 wings here. We're going to have over here, let's see, the 3rd, 6th, and what do we got, the 5th. So the 6th is a mix of decent infantry. And of course, these units are totally auxiliary. These guys are going to do the killing, right? This is a high ranking division. I've separated it into a high ranking division and a low ranking division because I want the low ranking crossbows over here on our left to basically pin the enemy down. We're going to be using them almost distractionary. They're going to get some kills, but the way we're going to win this fight, well, hopefully, is with this devastating 5th division of crossbow. Now, we're going to do reconnaissance here. This is not going to be a normal battle you see where it's a flurry of orders and we just envelop the enemy. Let's see what they're doing here. I am going to do some reconnaissance, just like Marshal Bessieres, the French marshal that was killed in action doing reconnaissance. We're going to risk life and limb here to figure out what the enemy's doing. Now you can see what they're doing. They're presenting a shield wall directly here at our main core, right? The first, third, and fourth. So, just like I hoped, we are going to try to flank this with the third, fifth, and sixth. Now again, more reconnaissance here. This isn't the fastest horse you've ever seen. We're just using the RTS mod. I'm trying to save you guys a little bit of time. But realistically, if this is a battle you must win, and of course, if you're the attacker, you do have the ability to retreat. I would encourage you to retreat, by the way. I would not encourage you to try this. I may still lose this battle. That's how hard this is. But we're going to do a little reconnaissance here, and we're going to say that we have to win this battle. So I'm going to drag the third, fifth, and sixth over here. And what I'm basically doing is I'm trying to look for the right angle, right? And the right angle is obviously to the enemy's side. Now, lots of generals and lots of you commanders out there are getting uncomfortable watching me split my army, right? This is very perilous. Against a really good human opponent, you might be fucked here because they might send all their forces against one of your sides before you could react and destroy it. Fortunately, the AI is not that dynamic. Savor this time while the AI is mediocre, friends. That may not last. All right, so the third, fifth, and sixth coming over here, and we're going to methodically set this up, right? We're going to set it up to the flank, but if I just bring our troops over here, our strongest troops, and start shooting at them, the enemy will simply switch their shield walls to face us. So what we're going to do is apply pressure on both sides, right? I'm actually going to charge with the first and second over there. Actually, I better call the second division to me, otherwise they will probably get killed before I can set up here. And we're going to move that fourth crossbow division in as well. Now here, more reconnaissance. This is exactly where I want to put the fifth because it has a nice angle on the enemy's side. Now we're going to have to deal with all these cavalry, right? We're badly outnumbered for infantry and cavalry here, but I'm hoping all of our sharpshooters on this side really devastate the enemy's right flank. I beg your pardon. This is the enemy's left flank. All right, so bringing the fifth, third, and sixth over here, we've made the movements to our first, third, and fourth, and now the setup needs to be quick, right? Because as they're moving into range, we're going to start getting shot. In fact, I got to hold my shield up here, otherwise I will get killed as well. So what I want is I want these crossbow within about 120 or 130 range of that main Battanian group. So we're going to move them up, and by the way, we're holding fire, of course, because we have a limited amount of bolts. We need to use our ammo very wisely here. And then the third and the sixth, all they are is eating arrows. We're going to get shot with thousands of fucking arrows. These bolts are going to come raining in here, right? All of these nasty Javcav. One of these things will probably one-shot me. So I got to be careful here. My horse took one right in the spine. I don't know how it would keep riding, but, you know, I guess it winged it somehow. It's sticking in its neck. And on this side, of course, we're going to move up the first, third, and fourth. Now this side is going to do a little bit of damage, but these are weak crossbow. The main reason they're here is so that the enemy can't swivel all of its forces to face our other crossbow. We're going to move this infantry and cavalry up. I'm very much concerned about their Javcav. Of course, they're probably starting to swarm the other side with their Javcav, but we're going to move those guys up even closer. I want our sharpshooters firing at about 100 range or less. That way they'll do maximum damage. So the sixth, we can hold a shield wall here, try to push back this enemy cav, and let's get this fifth corps moved up, right? We want these guys hammering the Battanian Fian line. Not point blank, of course. You could never get that close without suffering huge losses, but I want them close enough to basically do some major damage. Shield walls in the front, third and sixth. The other divisions in place, they're starting to shoot. We're finally starting to get some kills, although at this stage, most of the kills are on the archers. And I think we'll drag a cav division right through here. All these guys I'm just knocking around. This is a sacrificial division, right? This cav I'm charging in here, it has one job, and that's to buy us a little bit of time while our troops move into position. Right? Archers that are being charged to get knocked around, they stop shooting, they pull out their sword to swing at you. Sometimes they run and try to reposition. All I'm doing with this cav division here is riding it right through their midst, basically trying to cause a little bit of internal carnage to their ranks while our guys start to light them up. Now the death spam is still pretty messy, right? They're firing away all these archers, 183 archers. And even though, you know, I chose 68% of our forces as crossbow, we don't have that many more crossbow than they have archers. The angle's not perfect here, but they are starting to cause major damage, especially to the enemy's cavalry here, right? These guys, we want to kill them first. Because, of course, if their cavalry's charging through our archers left and right, through our crossbow left and right, we'll be fucked. The death spam is starting to turn our way. The big question now is ammo, right? Not only, of course, are we outnumbered by 20%, but we're going to run out of ammo way before the enemy. Now, the enemy's starting to move a little bit. I don't think they like maybe the AI is programmed to move when they suffer enough death. Some of their archers look like they're pulling back even further, which is good AI, and that's bad for us. So we're just going to continue to close in the net. I have infantry divisions facing on both sides here, kind of menacing them, right? Providing a little bit of pressure. But these guys aren't attacking, right? These guys are not here to go charging into the enemy's ranks, right? We have like 20 infantry on both sides. They have like 200 infantry. We can't charge. Now, we will at some point. When we run out of ammo here, hopefully we get a little bit more kills. Now we're starting to get kills. Look at the sharpshooters are raking over here. You know, and of course they're firing into thickly packed troops of the enemy. But hopefully we can do quite a bit of damage before we have to charge. I'm going to try to get one more flank here. I just split the 5th into the 7th to try to get a little bit of a better angle in case they fall back further. I think they'll fall kind of right back into the lap of those guys. The 4th is almost out. Actually, the 4th, it says, has a lot of ammo. For some reason or other, though, I see a lot of guys holding their shields. Okay, their infantry starting to charge our 6th. That's fine. We're going to move these guys back in a square. The 5th crossbow can be told to charge because there's definitely some of those guys that are out of ammo. Same thing with the 7th. And these guys turn into pretty decent melee units, right? They're not Battanian fiend champs, but crossbow, hardened crossbow, and especially, of course, your sharpshooters are both very capable melee units. And now we are into melee, right? These guys would not be charging if they had ammo. These guys are all out of ammo, and so suddenly, oh shit, suddenly I'm shot off my horse. Suddenly we are infantry here. We're boring in. The 5th is still shooting, or the 4th is still shooting. I do have one infantry division as a square. The 7th is pouring in on the enemy's rear, and we're just going to drive in here and hope for the best. I did not think this battle was going to be easy, and it has turned out to be anything but easy. I mean, we're in here fighting high-end infantry, holding up our barn door. But we've got a nice press on both sides, and don't forget the other side is charging too, right? So the enemy's starting to get pinched on both sides. In fact, some of their guys are flat routing. Okay, he's dead. You just take a new guy here. Of course, this is the RTS mod for anybody wondering. If you've never used the RTS mod, you need to go download it immediately. The enemy's now fully trying to regroup, and we're on the run chasing these guys down, fucking cutting their flag guys down, holding up our shields, right? We're going to slam some of these guys, and I'm going to let some of my fellow guys here do some work. It's very close, but I think we've got the momentum. Get out of here, axe wielder. We've still got a few cavalry left, it looks like. I hear guys routing, so we have this, I think. Beautiful. And this is just an exhibition, but I let out a sigh of relief because that was awesome. That was very difficult to pull off under the circumstances. Feel free to try this with the custom battle menu. This is a very difficult challenge. And of course, anybody who's experienced it in the actual game knows exactly how hard this is, right? This is usually a fatal, futile charge. You suffer incredible losses, and then you either tuck tail and run, retreat, or you just get completely pulverized and lose, and then you get captured. Here we were able to save almost a third of our troops and defeated a force that outnumbered us significantly in a tough defensive position. You could really argue this is the toughest defensive position, right? Battanian fiend champs in the woods, high up on a hill, holding ground. I mean, this is about as hard as it gets in the game. All right, so I think we'll explore, let's see, we could do a desert battle with the Aserai. I'm anxious to try a few more of these scenarios like this, so we'll be right back. All right, so let's turn up the difficulty on this next challenge. We are going to be fully outnumbered by 20% again, 600 against 500. So outnumbered by 100 troops here versus the Empire. And again, we will give them tons of crossbow and all of the elite units, right? Nothing on the battlefield here other than tier 5 or tier 6. for both sides, right? So we have a very strong Aserai force, and we're fighting Imperials here. Again, we will play the attacker, which is definitely a bad situation to be in, right? When you're the attacker, and the opponent takes a defensive position, that's about the most difficult situation in Bannerlord. And I should have prefaced that by saying when you're outnumbered by 20%. Of course, if you outnumber the enemy, you just crush them. But being outnumbered here is not a good situation. So let's use some just very basic tactics to give you a baseline for how difficult this is going to be, right? First, second, and third division, just like you would normally get if you were using very basic tactics. And we're going to try to flank here, but not get too crazy. In other words, we're going to show you some basic tactics to see if there's any chance of success at all with sort of relatively simple flanking, moving the infantry to one side and the cav kind of to the other. So the javelins are doing good work, and that's something I'll be definitely trying to focus on after this battle. Of course, we're going to take over control here. Now, I understand I'm in control here, but this is what I would consider almost like sergeant level gameplay, right? We just told them to attack. The infantry charges, the cav charge. Actually, they cause some good depth there with their javelins, but suddenly it's turning very red again. Of course, the enemy archers are abundant, so once their archers start getting free, it's going to be an absolute shooting gallery. In fact, you see the death spam. A lot of those are archers as they start lighting up everything in sight. At the back here, they've got a huge amount of archers, and the battle already is starting to turn sour. All of these archers at the back here are just unloading. This is like 80 to 100 crossbow. And of course, these are all Imperial Sergeant, right? These are some of the nastiest crossbow in the game. And they are just lighting up everything in sight. Our forces here have a few archers that are going to get some kills as their infantry closes in, right? They did a little bit of decent work there, but now the enemy infantry arrives at those guys and the butchering begins there, and the enemy just has a vast amount of archers still. So clearly a massive defeat here if we use basic tactics. The enemy looks to have almost half of their 600 troops left in this first example. So this is going to be very difficult. Now, of course, this is easier than fighting in the forest because your enemy's in plain sight, right? You can see the landscape. You don't have all the trees that your cavalry's running into. And so even though it's easier, this is obviously still harder, right? You just saw what happened. Our side got butchered. So very similar to the last example, I'm going to use 3 different divisions on both sides. I like the 7th for cavalry. That kind of jarred me in the first battle. So we have 2 tiny archer divisions. This battle, of course, we're not going to win with archers, right? We're going to try to win with a fairly typical Aserai force, which is plenty of jav cav and infantry. So we're going to have a heavy second division and then flank hard with the infantry on our right, the enemy's left. So the 6th, 6th, 5th, and 7th will be on our right. And those guys I will flank hard once we've sort of pinned the enemy down with the 1st, 2nd, and 4th. Now, not as much reconnaissance is necessary here, right? I got sand dunes. I've got a beautiful sunrise or sunset or whatever the fuck it is. I feel suddenly desirable to drink a lot of water. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I have a battle in the desert, I feel like I need to get a drink here. Get a little refreshment here. I'm not a camel. And we pour up here. Now, of course, this is nice practice for my Aserai campaign, right? Undoubtedly, I'm going to be fighting Imperials. I might even be fighting them on this exact battlefield. And it's possible, and indeed, they are turtling up. It's possible they do that. Now, look at this. I want to make a point out of this. Do you see how they can't see us over the ridge of these hills? That's how we're going to approach, right? We're going to be getting shot by, what do they have, 50%? So 300 archers. 300 archers and crossbow. Obviously, we don't want to enter their line of sight until we get over the edge of that ridge. Now, once we do, of course, we're going to be getting blasted. So, just like the last battle, right, what are we going to do? We're going to provide basically multiple angles of attack. Let's see if I get shot off my camel here. This guy's, his camel's pretty slow. We're going to move in the 2nd cav here in the 1st infantry in shield wall, but we're not going to do it in a hurry, right? We're going to move them up methodically. Look at all those bolts. Jesus. It's just an absolute firing squad. Now, what we want to do that's different also in this battle is we want to use our javelins. The Aserai pretty much have the best combination of jav and infantry cav. Although I guess you could argue the Wildling is comparable. I did not know it before, but the Aserai Vanguard Ferris has the highest throwing of all the units, 140 to 130, I think, for the Wildling. So in we go here with some javelins, and I want these guys here, this second corps, right on top of that enemy mass. In a shield wall, that way they won't get scorched on the way up. They're still going to suffer losses, but I want those guys getting in there quickly and throwing javelins into these fucking piece of shit Imperials. I was trying to think of the right insult. I'm always searching for good insults for you fellas. These boot-looking fucking dyspeptic curmudgeoned termagant. Oh shit, we lose our horse already in this battle, or our camel. Get speared and killed. Alright, get up here 6th and 7th. Now we're in survival mode. Let's see if we can pull this off from the ground level. Fortunately, I was able to position that 1st and 2nd right on top of the enemy, and you can see the javelins going to work, right? In fact, these guys are going to unload javelins right into the face of those archers. I'm dragging the 6th Corps behind me, which is a lot of shock troops and infantry. We're going to pull the 7th around at the corner here, which also acts as a screen. See how none of those guys can shoot me or our shock troops. And hopefully those guys being behind the enemy do some nice work with javelins as well. Their enemy's certainly not going to like it, right? Having javelins all around them. The 1st Division on the other side is told to charge. 2nd Division is told to charge. Our archers are probably out of range, so I've charged with those as well. And anytime you see archers firing away like that, stick a Cav Division right in the middle of them. Right, you basically want a big smelly horse ass. Maybe it pisses on them while it tramples them. You want those guys in there, stopping the enemy from just firing unimpeded. Right, there's dust flying everywhere. Now, in behind all that maelstrom of horse meat comes our 6th unit here, right? These shock troops, they're right behind me. I can hear them roaring with their two-handed axes. I got a guy here who looks like he's coming for me. Are you my fucking nemesis, dude? Cut you down, stomp on you. And in we go here, right? This guy's not terrible at melee, although he's pretty weak. But the tactics have been completed, right? We held him down in the middle with our shock troops. Now we can carve a path through him. Oh shit, and our 6th Corps is eating basically right behind me. I want to take this horse. This guy's beating on me. It is still close though. I mean, it's very close, so I'm going to start dragging cav right through here. Anytime I see archers moving, what I'm going to do basically is drive these cavalry right through them. Right, that way the bulk of their archers, anywhere they're trying to set up, soon, very quickly, they have archers in their face. Now, speaking of archers, our guys are moving up and shooting pretty well. Those are all master archers, of course. Both sides here have nothing but elite troops. And again, you see archers setting up. Let's just drag our cavalry right through here. It's a messy battlefield. We got going on here. I got troops routing. I almost stabbed my own guy. Okay, they got archer reinforcements coming in. I can stick cav reinforcements there. No. Let's see. Hold on. Let's pull those guys back. All of our archers and an infantry line are on the other side of this ridge. We're going to pull all our units back here and do a peekaboo ridge. Anytime that you're in an archer versus archer battle, and I don't know how many archers we have left, it looks like about 70, 80, we're going to put our guys on the other side of this ridge, and if the enemy doesn't approach, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Right now, there's so many different cavalry charging us here that I think it's beneficial for the short term. So we'll bring this Cav Division back. They can act as an anchor here. These shock troops chasing after our guys, I can kind of help out around the margins here. Look at this guy. He's valiantly holding off this Monabliaton. Kill that guy. Okay, those guys are routing. Get a few kills here. Our cavalry comes back to us. And now let's see if the enemy comes over this ridge. If they do, they're going to be in a bad way. I've got a line of shock troops, 2 lines of archers, and some cavalry here to really fuck them up. And our archers have lots of ammo. So as long as these archers don't get destroyed, I think we've got this. Let's see what we're facing here. I see a lot of the enemy routing. Much like the first battle, this was very close, but I think we've got it. I'm going to move up infantry here. What are we looking at? I think they routed off the battlefield. All right. So there you have it. Victory, right? Very, very difficult. Both of these scenarios, obviously, we're outnumbered against a defensive opponent. Very challenging, especially when they have that many archers. But in both of these examples, success. Not quite as good a success here, but under the circumstances, I'll take it, right? When we used the basic tactics, it was a disaster. Now let's try... let's do the sergeants. Let's see what happens when the AI is strictly in charge, right? I don't expect a good result, but you never know. Every once in a while, the sergeant does something that you might glean a little bit of information from. Of course, a lot of times you just want to throw your mouse at your computer when you watch the sergeant in charge, especially if you're in a campaign. You poor guys, with a small clan or whatever. God, they got a huge vanguard of archers already set up. I totally feel for you fellas. The fellas on console that are trying to struggle through with a horrendous AI lord. All I can say is grind it out, fellas. Come back to the channel, right? Learn some advanced tactics where you yourself can start winning battles, and then hopefully you guys can make your own kingdom and beneficently be a tyrant, right? We can do a little combo there. We can be a beneficent tyrant. All right, so the AI is circling pretty well with Cav, and they're scoring a bunch of kills, but their infantry is just charging a total death trap. The problem with charging this many archers is that all of those sergeant crossbow, they just pull out their maces. And then you get attacked by Legionnaire, Sergeant Crossbow, and Elite Manavleton. And that's what the results look like, right? It's just a spray of red as our infantry gets carved apart here. Of course, their archers are still shooting. I'm just kind of fighting here. I think we'll wrap this episode up, though, I think. I think you guys have seen enough, right? Most of you guys already know, of course, if you don't use tactics in situations like this, you lose. And in this situation, the sergeant control... It hasn't disgraced itself. Like a lot of times it's disgraceful. Here it's actually been reasonably serviceable, but still it's going to be a loss. All right, as this battle wraps up, I'm going to wrap this episode up. I appreciate you fellas. Again, of course, you want to subscribe. You want to see more advanced tactics, campaign strategy. We're going to be starting our Aserai campaign in a couple, 3 weeks. We'll see. Just taking a little break. A lot of these episodes I recorded and then just sort of uploaded and scheduled them to be released. If I don't comment as much in the future, please forgive me. I am taking a little bit of a break. But I appreciate you fellas. Of course, please subscribe, like, and comment, and all that kind of good stuff I'm supposed to say. And I will see you fellas, next time. I actually just had a thought, and I want to try something. This is, I guess, extra credit. I'm famous for my long episodes here. That's okay. Hopefully, this might not work, and I just won't include this in the episode here. I'll just keep on narrating. I'm going to try a very simple tactic that I think has a chance to work because of where the enemy is positioning. I've observed this both battles, that they are jamming themselves at the very back of the map, and their archers aren't spreading. So I've got an idea here. Let's see if we can't turn their whole formation with our infantry and absolutely pound them with our ranged units, right? Effectively, almost all of our ranged units here, or almost all of our units are ranged units, right? Our archers are ranged. Actually, every single unit, in fact, in this army is a ranged unit. Of course, the Imperials, most of them are not ranged units, right? All these cavalry and whatnot. Let's see if we can't pin them here with this second cav on the side. We will bring our third cav towards the enemy's left. I get these confused. It's our right. I should probably just orient to our side. We're going to move the infantry, the first infantry in a big block towards the front, and hopefully the palace guards are towards the rear. And then what I want to do is move that infantry and kind of swivel it to the enemy's left, from their right to their left. In other words, from our left to our right, with the hopes that it turns the enemy's backs and all these archers' backs to the cav, right? If I push infantry up on them, they will undoubtedly move their shield wall, and then all of these cavalry are going to be able to unload. This should be a huge barrage here. So these guys in shield wall, here come the javelins, right? Look at that fucking barrage of... where's it? There should be throwing axes. There's some throwing axes too. Here, look at this. Holy shit, fucking throwing weapons. It looks like a ticker tape parade or something like that, just with death. It's just a huge block of green here. Now let's swivel this. It's working beautifully. Look at this. I'll just swivel the infantry to the enemy's left, our right, and look at them just totally exposing their backs to all of our cavalry, just firing javelins like right into their backs. Let's see if we can get these guys to charge here. Charge. No, they're going the wrong way. Well, sometimes the UI will fuck with you a little bit here. Now their crossbow looks like it's charging. Okay, let's pull these guys out. We've already done major damage, though. Let's let their crossbow charge. Our archers are shooting. Our infantry's holding out okay here at the center. And then I don't know what this crossbow is going to do. We will continue to throw javelins. We're just basically kiting their archers, which is a strange thing to say. Let's get our archers spread out here a little bit better. These guys are all fucking clogged up. Second division is charging now. This is a rout. That third division is boring in. That third division of cavalry is just eating the Imperials. They're cavalrying alive. Our archers are completely unmolested. I mean, we're at least going to win this. Now it's just a question of how much. Look at how open our archers are. They're just smoking everything. Our infantry's doing well, too. Wow. Well, I'm going to include this. If you're watching at this stage, just a little subtle variation on what I did was shifting the infantry once we got close, basically moving it almost like a magician, waving his hand in front of your face while the object in question disappears. Right? That was basically a sleight of hand. It turned the enemy's flank and completely exposed their back to our javelins, and then the 2nd Division did a lot of the rest. Of course, there was plenty of hard blows here, but this is a fucking rout. This is better than the example where I did all that micromanagement. I mean, there's still a lot of micromanagement here, but just 2 cav divisions, an infantry division, and archer division just crushed them. We have half our troops left. So there you have it. Pretty badass. Now, it does make me wonder, of course, other maps, but again, I'm going to... I think I'll wrap this up, fellas. I appreciate you guys. Thanks again for watching. I'm constantly fiddling with this kind of stuff because I just absolutely love tactics. It's basically chess with a battle axe, right? So I'm going to continue to make episodes for you guys to try to explore and discover new things that help you guys along. It's highly stimulating to my brain, even when I'm not caffeinated. And again, I appreciate you fellas. Please comment and all that kind of good stuff. And I will see you guys. Oh yeah, I already said this. I will see you guys next time.